pronouncing names. So, John Terragni, thank you so much for joining us on Coffee and Conversations with Champions. It's awesome to have you with us, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
No,
So,
absolutely. I think we reached out to some of the federations as well as to SBD just
yeah,
for athletes to chat to ahead of the World Masters in Cape Town. And your name came up and they said I had to chat to you. So that's why we're chatting.
yeah. All right.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I think we just before we went on air, we were talking about the pronunciation of your surname, and I think I'm famous in certain powerlifting circles for butchering names. So, which is why I'm going to be announcing at this World's Masters. I do.
Well, you've had some training with my name now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got that sorted out. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in powerlifting.
Okay. If I start with my background in powerlifting, that's the most recent, obviously, but I'm an M4 lifter, a Masters 4 lifter. I'm 78 years old.
Sure.
I started, my first international competition was Worlds in Sweden 6 years ago.
2019.
But 2019, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I started powerlifting in 2018. Before 2018, I did fitness for a couple of years before I got engaged in powerlifting. It was kind of a circuit. It was a journey into powerlifting. It actually occurred because for years, I had been running on the road. I've been running 40 to 60 kilometers a week after coming home from work, and I needed a hip replacement
Right.
after all these years of running. And while I was waiting for the hip to arrive or to be scheduled for the operation, I had to find some other kind of cardio activity. So I joined a little fitness center close by, and I did the bicycle and the treadmill and the ellipsis machine and so forth. And there were some free weights in the room that the younger people used, and I thought, hey, that looks kind of interesting. So I just kind of started there. So it's actually completely by happenstance that my powerlifting career started.
Oh, my word. How did you go from the gym, sort of exercising with the weights into competing? And also, where did your operation fit into that?
Well, I've always liked to do things as best as I could.
Hmm.
And when I started playing around with the weights, I started where most people start, which is on the bench press.
Yes.
And I was bench pressing. I think I was bench pressing. I was following an online program that was a 5x5 program, very common program, and I was doing sets of 80 at 5 sets of 80 5 times, and then I
Wow.
thought, yeah. Well, I thought, yeah, I wonder. And some of the older guys who were coming around said, "Hey, you're pretty strong in bench press." So I was curious. So I went online and I found out that the record at the time in Denmark for bench press in my age group and weight, I'm a 74 kilo lifter,
Right.
and the record was 80 kilos.
Oh,
So I
wow.
thought 80 kilos. I'm doing 5. So,
Yes.
so who doesn't want to break records, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and that was kind of almost effortless, my transition. Then I thought, okay, then I have to find out how this works. And the way I did this was go online and found a Danish coach who was a powerlifting coach who introduced me to powerlifting.
Oh,
And yeah, and so I started. Actually, my main interest was benching, and then I had the hip operation. And this fellow said to me, "You know what?" I said, I was a little concerned about squatting with the
mm-mm.
hip operation. At the hospital, they say, "Be careful when you sit down," and they don't say anything about you can't squat or deadlift or anything. So,
Or,
so,
or
so
squatting at at world level.
yeah, exactly. I asked. He was, has an education in physiotherapy as well. I said, "Can I do this?" He said, "Sure, you can." So
Wow.
I just started squatting and then deadlifting, and then yeah, I after that's this was a small fitness club in a little village close by,
Right.
But in Denmark, I have to say that in Denmark, the powerlifting organization is, I think, it's a lot different from the United States. Your audience, if they listen to this, will probably think this guy has kind of an American accent. And the fact of the matter is, I am an American. I was born and raised in the United States. I
Okay.
lived there until, yeah, I lived there until I was 25 years of age, and then I came to Denmark to take an education as a potter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I was educated as a studio potter, and I had a career for over 20 years in studio pottery.
Fa-
Um, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that explains my accent.
And they're also
So
so Italian American in Denmark.
yeah, yeah. My grandfather was born in Italy. So and he
Okay.
immigrated to the United States, and I returned to Europe.
You came back to Europe.
Yeah,
Nearly full circle. That's phenomenal.
yeah. But let me just finish telling about, because I think this is really interesting, very different from the United States. In the United States, everybody is a privatist. They're all lifting by themselves in ordinary gyms. Many of them are commercial gyms. In Denmark, we have powerlifting gyms,
Right.
dedicated powerlifting gyms. I don't know if you have this system in South Africa,
We're
but we are.
fortunate to have, there's not a lot. There's probably about 8 to 12 throughout the country, but in the
Okay.
major areas, we have quite a few.
Yeah. Okay. Because now these gyms are, and we're a country of just barely over 6 million people, and there are 65 powerlifting gyms in
Wow.
in Denmark. Yeah,
Okay.
65. And when you join one of these, and of course, you don't have to be a powerlifter. You can just be, you can want to do bodybuilding or weightlifting or just exercise. But if you want to do powerlifting, then you have to apply for a license.
For to be an athlete.
To be a powerlifting athlete and
Wow.
to compete at the national level, you
Okay.
have to have a license. And the license is given to actually to anybody who wants one, although you have to go through a quarantine period where when you have joined the club, after 2 months of exercising regularly, they allow you to apply for the license. This is to make sure that we don't get people wandering in who are juiced to the gills.
Yes,
Because
100%.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a very vibrant, I would say, powerlifting community in Denmark. There's a even stronger one in Norway and Sweden, as you probably know, in Finland. The Nordic countries are very into this sport.
I think that sort of powerlifting, strongman, any of the strength sports, really good representation. But I think, as you said, in particular, powerlifting. What do you think it is about powerlifting that makes it so valuable?
Yeah, well, I think it's an indoor sport for one
Right.
thing,
Yes.
which is important in these countries where in Denmark many people think we have tons of snow all year round. We don't. We have very little snow actually, and we have no mountains. People when they think of Scandinavia, they have a picture of Sweden or Norway,
Yes.
with lots of mountains and lots of snow. That's not how it is in Denmark. But we have long, dark, wet winters.
Okay.
It gets dark around in the dead of winter. It's dark around 3:30 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the sun rises again at 9 o'clock. And it's worse. The further north you go, of course, the less sunlight you get. So that's the explanation that you often hear why, for example, Danish people are really good at badminton and handball, because these are indoor sports.
Right.
I think part of the reason why powerlifting has been is so popular is because it's indoors. It's practiced indoors year round. You're not dependent on the weather. The second reason I think is, and this is even more important, is it's the most, in my opinion, it's the most egalitarian sport in the world.
Right.
Regardless of whether you're a man or you're a woman, if you are big or little, there is a place for you. And old or young, there is, or handicap, there is a place for you. And it's not as if you are a unicorn and there's some special rules made up for you. It's the same platform. It's the same rules. It's the same medals. It's in many cases the same competitions. So it's because it's in these countries that I have mentioned. They have very strong democratic traditions, and women in sports in these countries are fantastic. And I think that's another reason why it's so popular, powerlifting is in these
And
countries.
that's such a great explanation. I think you're spot on. And what one of the reasons that we started this podcast was firstly to give athletes exposure, to help them have a little bit of content online, to hopefully bring in sponsorship or get them exposure to potential sponsorship to help cover the costs of competing and travel. But one of the other reasons that evolved was really for people to understand that powerlifting is for everyone. I spoke to an athlete this morning that I wanted to get on the podcast, and she said to me, "But I'm such a small fish. I'm a nobody." I was like, firstly, you're not a nobody. And secondly, that you being a small fish is exactly why I want to talk to you, that everybody deserves the opportunity to share their story, because there are going to be hundreds of people just like you who would benefit from powerlifting. And that's what I love what you said. It really is an egalitarian sport. It's open to everyone, and it's you versus you. That's what's so fantastic about it.
Yes, yes, yes. And she may feel a little
Yep.
fish compared to the other women in her weight class.
Yes, correct.
But compared to the whichever group she's in, compared to the normal 50, 60-year-old lady, I mean, she's probably fantastic.
Well, absolutely. Listen, there's certain things she's lifting a lot more than me. So, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
that's what's great with the system and the platforms that are in place.
Exactly.
You chase the point, and you can see sort of where you stand. For your first competition, what was that like for you? So you spoke about breaking records, but what was your first comp like?
Well, I think I should. Yeah, my first competition in Denmark, it was I was so amazed when I was finished that I drove home. The place where the competition was in Aalborg, which is it's a fairly it's only half an hour drive
Mhm.
from where I live. But when it was a national competition, when I came home, I discovered that I hadn't changed. That
Oh,
I still
wow.
had my yeah, I had everything. I had my singlet on, I had my deadlift socks on, I
Yeah.
had my deadlift shoes on. I was completely I was an amazing experience.
Wow.
When I was a young man, I competed. I went to a private boarding school in the United States for 4 years with
Mhm.
only boys.
Right.
Uh, and you had to, I think this, kind of an English Anglo system, and you had to play sports. So I had played lots of sports. I played American football, I played basketball, baseball, and tennis through those 4 years. And then when I was graduating and went on to the university, I was way too small.
Right.
I weighed, I weighed,
For collegiate level, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I weighed 70 kilograms. So,
Wow.
or less at the time. So so from that point on, from my 18th birthday, on until I was 72, I was not involved in any competitive sports whatsoever. I ran, as I told you, but I never took
Mm-mm.
part in any races. I just ran for my own enjoyment.
Right.
So it was I don't know. It was kind of it was a fantastic experience, of
I'm
course.
sure.
And then the first international I went to in Sweden, um, the ceremony and the platform. Then the Open was at the same time as the Masters.
Right.
And yeah, and it was held in this enormous auditorium.
How
Uh,
fantastic was that venue, and how fantastic was the warm up area? It was just massive.
it was yeah, mind blowing,
Yep.
simply mind blowing. And I felt so lucky just to be there. And of course, it's only a short trip from Denmark. I could be there in 4 hours. So
Right.
I had lots of advantages, other than the fact this was my first international, and I was of course very nervous. And I there were as is often the case in the Masters of
Mm.
Four division, there are not very many people to compete against.
Yes.
But for some reason, in the lighter classes, especially the 74 kilo class, there are strong lifters.
Yes. Very much
And
so.
it's very rarely a walk in the park.
Right.
And I was up and I competed against two of the the big guns in the 74 kilo class. Ernie Parks from Great Britain, and Sato Sansom, I call him, from Japan.
Right.
And these guys, Ernie took first place, and Sato took second place. And Ernie at the time had the European total record, and Sato battled it out with him to the last deadlift. And I came in third. I was overjoyed. I thought I would. I thought I would for sure come in fourth.
Right.
So
Sure.
that's where I started. And just this year, oh, 6 years ago,
Yep.
and just this year, I took Ernie Park's total record.
Oh, wow. I have to give you
Yeah.
one of these. Hang on.
So
Fantastic.
when you remember you remember, at least I do. I think lifters remember, what was your total.
Yes.
My total at that competition was, and at that competition I did my first world record in bench press,
Sure.
111.
Wow.
But my total was only 417 and a half. And Ernie's total was 465. I know, 462 and a half.
Gee whiz. Okay.
Yeah, and I thought, I looked up at him, and he'd been lifting for like 35 years, and
Yep.
Sato had been lifting for, I don't know, 10 or 12 years. And these guys, I thought, they're amazing. I mean, it's an honor just to stand here. And then just working, getting a little bit better each year. Suddenly I'm the guy. It's my turn now to be at the top there. But without those people to inspire me, I don't know if I would ever have gotten there. And it's amazing. I feel that that I am there.
Yes. Isn't that
So,
something that's so special about the sport, where you want your competitors to be doing as well as possible, so they push you as much as possible?
yes. As a Sato that I told you about that came in second there, I was up against him in Mongolia
Yes.
2 years ago, at the Worlds and Classic, and he went out for his last deadlift, and he had to lift 205 kilos to beat me.
Right.
And when he went out, I said, "Go get him, Sato. Go get him." And I watched him lift, and he got it up to lockout, but he made some mistakes on the way, so his lift got 3 red lights.
Right.
But it was a if he had won, then he had won fair and square. I mean, it was an amazing event. And we embraced each other, and we were happy. We were both, I think, happy.
Yes.
He didn't speak any English. I don't even know if he understood what I said to him when he went out there, but he could tell from my face that I really wanted him to do this, to
Yes.
do his best. Yeah.
Right. Sure. Absolutely phenomenal. And that continues within the sport now as well, which is what makes it so special. I think for you, after that, there was one after Mongolia, I think was Sun City as well last year.
Yes. Last time with Sunny, that was a fantastic battle.
Yeah. Also phenomenal.
That was a fantastic battle.
So now, just touching on Sun City, what did you think of the venue, the warm-up area, Sun City itself?
Well, it was the same time as Commonwealth.
Yes.
So the warm-up area, were you there?
I was there. I was actually doing the announcing, but I think I might have had
Okay.
slightly shorter hair and a bigger beard.
Okay. Well, the warm-up area was magnificent.
Yep.
It was very good, and the venue was good in this huge hall. I thought the resort area was fantastic.
Yes.
It had everything you wanted, and it was right abutted the national park, so you could take a safari and see some wild animals and so forth. So it was an amazing place.
Oh,
Amazing
fantastic.
place.
I think,
It
and
was.
Cape Town this year, the venue is incredible. The hotel's not as big. The venue's not as big, but what this venue has, and I think was one of the primary reasons for selecting it, it's got a view, the whole one wall is windows, and you're going to hopefully not be distracted too much, but looking out of those windows, and you got the view framed by Table Mountain. It's
Okay.
absolutely incredible. And also what's what's great about this hotel, which Sun City was fantastic, but it was a little bit far if you were running late for
Yeah.
breakfast and so on. So the restaurant area is right there. It's all in one area. The bathroom's right there. The warm-up area is right there
Okay.
as well. So it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic venue. And
I'm looking forward to it. I'm
lots
looking forward to it.
lots of great restaurants around, lots to do. It's going to be absolutely, absolutely incredible. And we can't believe it starts next week.
I know. I know. I'm lifting on Friday.
Okay, when are you?
I,
Yep.
I'm in the first group. I'm leaving on Tuesday.
Okay,
I'm leaving.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm leaving Tuesday and lifting Friday
Friday.
morning.
Okay,
Uh,
that'll give you a good time to rest. Also, Cape Town being at the coast, altitude, not a problem. And also, I think Sun City was very dry last year. The humidity was about 17%. Cape Town will be a good, decent coastal city humidity, so that's not going to
yeah.
be a problem at all. Without getting into any trouble, John, can you tell us all sort of any expectations, what you're looking forward to do, what you're looking
Yeah.
forward to in the comp?
Well, I have to add that to part of my story was that in the Danish national championships for masters that took place in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
I made a big mistake.
Right.
I speak fluent Danish. Um, um, and when I went into the weigh-in, you're of course asked what your openers are going to be, and
Mm.
I said that what my openers were going to be in English, and the words for 105 and 115 are almost exactly the same.
Yes. Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I said 105, and the jury member or the judge wrote 115 on my card, and the error was that I just signed it without looking at
Mm-mm-mm.
what she had written down, and I only discovered that it was 115 2 minutes before I had to go in and make the lift. So, and I wasn't able. I hadn't warmed up for 115. That was going to be my last lift.
Right.
So
Sure.
that's the only meet. That was the only meet. That is the only meet that I have ever bombed out. But
Wow.
there was a really big disappointment for me that I had been. Well, I learned an important
Mm.
lesson that you always look at what has been written down, especially when you're at a when there are foreigners who are writing down people who maybe not are fluent in English, and you're giving the
Mm-hmm.
numbers in English, and you just have to make sure that that they are correct.
So I think
So it's,
that, yeah, there's
so it was,
two. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it was my era, totally my era, and I was very, very disappointed in myself that I hadn't caught that. So when I came home from that meet, I said to myself, something has to change. I
Mm-mm.
had a really, I don't know if I had a really bad taste in my mouth, as we say in English,
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to jump into equipped lifting.
Okay.
That's I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. It's going to make me forget all about what happened. And we have a club in Denmark, located in the middle of Jutland, the middle of the peninsula that I live on, that is
Mm-hmm.
famous for helping lifters get started with equipped lifting.
Wow.
So I went down there a Saturday afternoon, and they got me kitted out with a squat suit and a bench shirt and a deadlift suit. And I came home and I started training with equipment, and I have been lifting in equipment since 2023.
Okay.
And this year at the European Championships in equipped in Pilsen, I broke the world record in my weight class and age group total
Sure.
with 505 kilos. So when I compete,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
so on Friday, the first Friday of the week, I am doing classic, and then
Right.
7 days later, I'm doing the equipped.
Right.
I'm doing the equipped lifting, yes. And today I was was working with my trainer in at my club up in Aalborg, which is, as I mentioned earlier, was about half an hour from here, and we did my. It's kind of hard when it is difficult to train for both at the same time. I much prefer to do that. For example, the Europeans, they split it up. So you do classic one
Mm-hmm.
time, and then 3 months later you do the equipped. But worlds, it's all in one hat.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, if you're interested, you've got to do both.
Yes.
We have been doing hybrid program, he calls it, where I have been lifting heavy raw, and then I jump into equipment, and then I lift heavy equipped. So
Straight after
today,
the other. Wow.
yes, and
Okay.
so today he had programmed my what he thought would be my second lift in classic squat and my second lift in equip squat. So and my classic squat was 160,
Right.
and that's 2.5 kilos less than my all-time best. And it went pretty well. I thought I was a little nervous, but it went well. And
Fantastic.
then we jumped into gear,
Yep.
and my top squat today was 192 and a half.
Wow.
So if my face is a little bit bloated
Red.
and you can see some red,
Yep.
it's because you strain so much when you're squatting, that you get these things. So
Yeah.
uh,
We
so
thought
anyway,
we thought that was for your national colors, carrying it on your face.
no. I for the classic, I hope to do as well as I did at the classic in February in Albi, France,
Okay.
where I did 465. Maybe my deadlift is going okay. My squat looks like it's okay. My bench, it's you never know about my bench. My bench is going to show up or not. But I hope to get 465, maybe 2.5, 5 kilos better, maybe.
Yeah.
And then in the equipped, I'd like to squat 195. That would be the European record in squat and
Right.
equipped. And again, bench is the wild card. Where is that going to end up? But maybe 125. And then my deadlift has been going quite well. I did 187 and a half
Okay.
this week. So I think 195 maybe so that would be better than what I did in Pilsen
Sure.
if I could put those numbers together. But I go and think, okay, what's you know, I'm not chasing numbers. I just want to have a good meet.
Yes.
And then when I broke the world record in Pilsen, when I was finished, the coaches who were helping me, these two lovely ladies from Horsens, they said, "Why are you looking so glum, John?" I said, "God, I'm excited. There were only 6 people in the flight.
Yes. Oh wow.
If you know anything about equipment, and
Sure.
they were all Masters 4. I think they should have ordered 6 caskets that
Yeah.
they could just lay us out and when we finished. After that, yeah, you're laughing, but after the
No.
first, I could
Yeah.
after the first squat, I went into survival mode.
Yeah.
Everything closed down. I
Right.
said to myself, I just want to get through this meet. So when I was done, I was like completely. I was washed out. They
Right.
said, "Why are you looking so glum, John?" I said, "Oh." They said, "You just broke the world record." And I said, "What?" No idea. I
Gee
had
whiz.
no idea. I
Yep.
just did what they told me to do.
Huh? But no, listen, there's something to be said for that then. I was going to,
A lot.
like, with six lifts, do you stay wrapped? I mean, do you unwrap and then rewrap? I mean, do you have the
Yeah,
time?
yeah. You unwrap and then you have 4 minutes before you wrap again.
Wrapping
Oh,
again. Oh,
dang.
wow. Wow.
Terrible.
That's
Terrible.
that's very special. You have my respect.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, we there's so many things, and I want to go back to the competition. You mentioned sort of putting your details in wrong and not double checking, and having done many weigh-ins and seeing so many athletes, like they just give you the number and they sign, they don't check. It's always the
Yeah.
basics at the comps that we have to keep focusing on. You got to treat it like it's your first competition. But the point that you made, where you had something so serious happen to you, to bomb in your first comp is never fun. And it's something that a lot of athletes, younger athletes, I think in particular, don't come back from. So please share with us sort of what was going through your head. I mean, you not only did you, stay within the sport and not give it up or stop competing or go very hard on yourself. Well, I don't know, maybe you did go hard on yourself because you chose equipped. So I don't know if there's a worse punishment than that.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely. It was definitely yeah. And well, I'm the type of guy that when I meet adversity, I just buckle down and try harder, and I think
Yeah.
that was it. But that was not my first rodeo. That I had probably competed 15 times before then.
Right. Yeah.
I simply assumed that what I said was recorded, and I didn't give it a thought. And I can give you one more example where it almost went wrong at not too much later. I was doing an equipped bench national bench master's bench lift here in Denmark, and they wrote the wrong weight, my wrong body weight down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this time it was the judge who was looking at the scale and wrote down 75.1 instead of something like, I don't know, it was 74 or something like that. But it put me in a completely different class, and then I couldn't have competed. So you've got to be very. Not only do you have to look at what you have given, you have to make sure when they usually say your weight back to you, and this
Yes.
can be important when we're talking about best lifter and so forth, right? Your
Absolutely.
weight.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the coefficient of your weight times your result that will determine where you place with regard to the other lifters. So you have to be careful with this too.
That's it.
Both
Yeah.
lifters.
You have to listen and you have to watch everything, whether you have a coach or not. You can't just rely on your coach to do it. Absolutely. I mean, I saw there was a wonderful South African powerlifter, Tracy Ludwig, who very sadly is not with us anymore. And I was fortunate enough to be at school with her, so I got to know her. And her first powerlifting competition ever, she was also the first woman to deadlift 200 kilos in South Africa. Her first powerlifting comp ever, she traveled up from Durban, which is on the coast, to Johannesburg. It's a 6-7 hour drive, and you're coming up from sea level to like 1,700 meters above sea level. So a lot of fatigue and tiredness. Her coach had never done a comp either. So she just started her warm up, and they called her for her opener, which was 180. So she literally, we got her out. She ran, got her belt on with about 4 seconds, and just did the 180, and like she got it in. And she walks back and she says to her coach, "So now what do we do with the warm up?" And he was still in shock that she had just got this lift. Like, like, do we go back down to like 60 for 5 now, or what do we do?
Yeah.
So it was absolutely one. That's it. You got to be listening. You got to be watching. You can't only focus on your coach getting it. But such a wonderful. I absolutely love. I love that story, and I think powerlifting is such a great sport. And I was chatting to 2 South African strongmen earlier today, talking about the values of resilience, tenacity, and as you said, you just get on with it. And unless you've done that your whole life, it's something very hard to start with. And I know for myself, I've been sober for 18 years. This month is going to be 19 years. Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I stopped drinking when I was 36, and I'd started drinking and messing around with alcohol from the age of 9. And that, if you haven't started, if it's not something you're used to doing your whole life with just getting on with it, it's very difficult. But I think powerlifting is a great way to learn that you're capable of more than you believe you are.
Yeah. Well, let me add to that story, Nick. That powerlifting fulfilled something for me that the powerlifting you gave me something that I retired from teaching in 2015,
Right.
and
Sure.
I had been a potter for 20 years, and lived the bohemian life. Was single, And then I met a woman that I had 2 children with, and suddenly I had a bunch of responsibility. My partner was a painter,
Hmm.
so neither one of us had any income, any real income.
Mm-mm.
I took my degree from the United States. I read English literature at the university. I took it out of I don't know where I found it, but I took it out and I applied for a teaching job, and then then I taught for 20 years
Oh, wow.
uh, at the would be something like a sixth form college
Hmm.
in Great Britain, and we call it gymnasium here. Has nothing to do with the sports, but it's called
Mm-mm.
gymnasium. Um, so I stopped teaching in 2015. My last child moved away, and then I could no longer run,
Okay.
which I had
Sure.
run 40 to 60. I had run 40 to 60 kilometers a week for about 35 years. So everything seemed to kind of fall apart. I mean, I didn't have any structure to my day. I didn't have anything to get up for. Um, I was retired, so lots of retired people are just nobodies. I mean, nobody looks at you. You're
Mm-mm.
not doing anything special, right? You're just an old guy, who's
Hmm.
retired. So there was just a huge hole suddenly in my life. And when I found powerlifting, and I was so fortunate that I could be good at it. It gave me a purpose. It gave me a purpose in life that I lacked. That was my own,
Right.
and it gave me a structure. I need structure in my life. I train 5 days a week. I get up at 4 a.m. in the morning and I
Mm.
read my newspapers, and I drive to Aalborg at 6 a.m. And then I start training at 6:30, and everybody makes fun of me because I have the longest warm-ups, I think, in the whole world. But I mean, I am 78, right?
That's why you're still training at 78, listeners. Just
Yeah,
listen to that carefully.
yeah.
100%.
And I have a warm-up that includes gymnastics and
Mm-mm.
a lot. I had some cardio, so what, an hour and a half.
Right.
So yeah. So
Phenomenal.
I do my first empty bar at 8 o'clock. Eight
Okay.
o'clock.
Sure.
Yeah. And then I'm usually done around 10:30, 11 o'clock, depending on how long the program is. And then I drive home,
Hmm.
and I know what I'm going to have for lunch. And then I take a long nap,
Brilliant.
maybe from 12:30 to 1:30, maybe even
Uh,
2 o'clock. And then
okay.
wake up, and I don't have any DOMs. I don't
Yeah.
have any
Sure.
soreness. I mean, I'm all set to go. I mean, and this is the last 8 years. I mean, I've been training, for 8 years. This is my I except for the fact that I'm 78 years old. I'm a professional powerlifter.
Mm-mm.
This is my life.
Yes.
And my partner is 20 years younger than I am, and the kids are grown up and can manage for themselves. So I mean, I I I can do it the way I want to do it, and
Right.
I do it that way. I do it the best that I can until I can't anymore,
Sure.
and then I'll stop. Yeah, but for now, it's a huge part of my life.
That's absolutely and phenomenal. You keep with that warm up. I think I don't ever know of an athlete who got injured during a warm up or got injured because their warm up was too big. I think that's really the secret. And I think as well, it gives you a place to go and to be, right, and to hang out, and it's
Now,
special.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm training in a place where there is also Olympic weightlifting and CrossFit.
Right.
So there aren't young people there at 6 in the morning, I can tell you. But at
Yeah.
8:30, 9 o'clock, then they start to come in. Then they come over to me and they talk with me. And there are some really big guys that are also doing powerlifting. And they say to me, John, they say, John,
Yeah.
look at your triceps. What do you do for your triceps? So they're asking a 78-year-old man, what
Yeah.
exercise can you recommend for their triceps? That's pretty wild, isn't it?
That's
I mean,
absolutely phenomenal.
I know I know I'm part of their journey too, their
Mm.
lives. They're most of them are going to university, so we talk about what their studies are about and what they're doing. It's really fantastic to watch. Just across from where I'm doing powerlifting is the Olympic weightlifting.
Right.
Entirely different sport, wholly different sport. I think, thank
Mm-mm.
God I'm not doing that. But I mean, it's a nice blending of. I'm way, way, way the oldest, but I don't feel
Mm-mm.
that way
Sure.
because I'm
You,
respected.
yes. And you certainly don't present and project that energy as well.
I don't hang around. Don't,
Yeah, you don't hang around the old people.
don't hang on
Exactly.
a broom.
Yeah. You know, it's one of the things that I've encountered with people that are getting older. And there was a line from a movie that sort of stuck with me many, many years ago that said sort of the older you get, the more things get taken away from you. So, you know, you lose friends, people move away,
Yeah,
kids move away,
yeah,
all of these things. And you've got to
yeah,
sort of fight for what you got. But it's the one thing that we have is our body and our ability to move and to, you know,
yes,
to do as much as we can, whatever the amount, you know. And it's,
yeah,
I remember Joe Rogan said something similar on his podcast, you know, if you can't do 5 push-ups on the floor, you know, do one. If you can't do push-ups on the floor, do them on the wall. There's always a place to start. There's always enough time in the day as well. And what I wanted to ask you, and there's a couple of the questions I'd like to run through that I run through with my guests, is, you know,
yeah.
for you, like, why should people get involved in the sport of powerlifting?
Okay. Well, I mean, there are obviously health benefits,
Mm-hmm.
some of which you've already mentioned. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
especially as we age, you know, uh, research shows that once you are, you know, when you're a 65-year-old woman and you fall, the chances of you breaking a femur
Mm-hmm.
or something are great. And then if this happens to you, you know, you lose functionality and there's
Yeah.
mortality there. So I mean, just for and that's just one of the benefits that you can counteract osteoporosis, and you know your skeleton simply gets bigger. You can fall down without breaking a limb. And there are also studies that prove that show that cognitively that
Yeah.
shifting weights is good for your brain simply.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with lifting weights, especially if you you know, I don't think you need to be coached, but you don't
Mm.
want to, you don't want to think, okay, tomorrow I'm going to go into the gym and I'm going to put the heaviest weights possible, and then of course get a new beginner kind of
Yep.
injury. You want to have a program. You want to start uh, slowly and incremental, and keep putting more weight on the bar or doing more reps or whatever, so you get stronger. You will get strong. If you even, I mean, you may not
Yep.
get as strong as we are, but you'll get stronger than you are, and that's
Yes.
important. So that
Absolutely.
you can
Sure.
take care of yourself and live in your own home as long as possible without having to end up in a nursing home or have people
Mm-mm.
come in and take care of you.
Sure.
Um, and then, of
Love
course,
that.
there's also the social aspect,
Yes.
which I just mentioned, right? There are lots of clubs in Denmark. Because I happen to be training at a sports high school, most of the
Mm.
people who come to train there for different reasons are probably, yeah, I mean, it's rarely that there's anyone over 35, but at
Okay.
most of the other clubs in Denmark, they have masters who lift. And because they train during the morning, then you meet them and you have coffee together with them. You have share
Mm.
stories. I mean, there's a whole social element that is also very important for your well-being as you age. That you have social
Yes.
relations.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things that keeps you going and happy and so forth.
Oh,
So
phenomenal.
that's I
Mm.
think I think I haven't I haven't encountered anything negative with powerlifting. You don't
Yeah.
have to you don't have to do it as I do. It's just you come and train, and you
Well,
meet the people you train with there. I mean, I have never met. I have never. Maybe you have, but I
mm-mm.
have never met. At least at the gyms that I go to, I've never met anybody who hasn't been kind, who
Mm-hmm.
hasn't. When I have a problem or need help a spot, or I can't find a piece of equipment, or I have a pain that I want to talk about. If they have some experience, that they are incredibly helpful. I don't know if that's true in
Yeah,
other sports, but
absolutely. Yeah.
that's certainly true in powerlifting.
100. I've never met anyone in powerlifting who wasn't as invested in a stranger's training, as much invested in a stranger's training as they are within their own. And they're just happy to help and to support,
Yes.
whether it's at a competition, as you said, you're screaming
Yes.
for the person that you're competing against to beat you,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
you're wanting to help the new guys or even the experienced athletes to share knowledge, to share experience.
Yes.
And it's a very, very special thing. And I love what you said about the social element as well, because I think there's two types of powerlifters: those who don't compete, and those who compete, and those who haven't
Yes.
competed yet until they've been nagged enough by the other powerlifters in their lives to at least try one
Yes.
competition. And I think once
Yes.
you do one comp, you're going to love it.
I think
Yeah.
my experience is with I know some of that type, the latter type that you just
Mm.
mentioned, that say, oh, I can't compete yet, I'm not
Yeah.
strong enough yet, or whatever. And they're never going to be strong enough.
Yep.
They're never going yeah, they're never going to get your ass in gear and
Yep.
go and make that competition. Then you have a benchmark that you can measure yourself against. And people who say I can't compete because it hurts here or there or
Yeah.
whatever, that's just nobody, even in the open classes, these guys and ladies who are competing, they don't compete 100%.
Yep.
I mean, there's always something nagging them one place or another, and they just, as you said earlier, they just get on with it. That's part of the game.
That's it. Getting on with it, part of the game. The one thing on that I'd like to say as well, which you just made me think of, we're starting competitions. The one thing I'm loving, absolutely loving seeing within the South African powerlifting community is the number of club comps that are happening. So for new lifters, not so strict, and
Oh,
then
yeah, yes,
there's a division that is IPF rules, and then there's a
yes,
division which is called me versus me. So anyone can come. You can lift in jeans and a crop top if you want to.
yes,
In the other
yes,
division, and that's such a wonderful way to get athletes involved. We had one a few weeks ago, called Barbell Bullies Liftoff, and they had to run. They ended up running the competition over 3 days because there were so many entries. So that's such a wonderful thing to see, where you're willing to let people come in. It doesn't have to be 100% strict, and then they
yeah,
get a taste of provincials next, and then hopefully
yes,
nationals. It's great.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
lower the barriers of entry, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I have heard of a similar. There are similar things going on like that in Denmark, also in Sweden. I think that I think they still use the same judging, however,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
same rules for judging, but
Correct.
with
The same
the other,
rules.
what they don't have to be IPF, approved singlets and so
Yes,
on.
correct. Yeah, that's
As you
it.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's an excellent way of getting people to try it out and see whether they might like it, because there is a huge pool of talent out there
Mm.
that is, you could say, this hasn't been cultivated.
Yes.
And I think this is true for every age group, not just the young people. We can see that the records are going up and up and up and up, and it's not so much because these individuals get strong. It's just more people are getting involved in the sport
In the
who
sport.
are genetically gifted.
Yep.
And yeah, as taking myself an example, when in my first powerlifting meet, I was 71 years old. I had never lifted in weights before then.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
we didn't have any weight program when I was doing American football. That was way
Mm-mm.
before.
Right.
There were weight rooms and so on. So I mean, I had never touched a barbell in my life before then, and yeah, and you can do it. I mean, I say to people, you can do it.
Yep. No, 100%. And I
Yeah,
mean, that's what's
yeah,
so that's what's so incredible about the sport. Absolutely love it.
yeah. And and then
Yeah.
you can objectively measure your progress too. I
Yes.
mean, what sport offers you that opportunity that you can see? Okay, this week I am doing 2.5 kilos more, or I made one rep more. I mean, and this is encouraging. I mean, it's very hard in life to see that you're making progress. That you can make progress that you can actually note.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's pretty easy to go to the gym and say, even if it's not one of the SBD lists, but it's an accessory. If I'm doing weighted pull-ups, for example, and
Mm.
I can do I put another 2.5 kilos on my belt and do it, then I come home feeling, hey, today was a good day.
Today was a good day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 78 years old. Who would have thought that I could add 2.5 kilos to my weighted pull-ups?
That's
Yeah.
that's quite scary and absolutely fantastic. So, just for another question, what is
Yes.
it? And it doesn't have to be too serious. I think the next two questions aren't this, but what is it that you love? Is there something in particular you love about powerlifting?
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of things I love, but I have two world records and I have
Hmm.
5 European records.
Sure.
But I don't love those as I love the matches that I've had with the time I was up against Ernie
Hmm.
and Sato, my first, and I lost. And then when I met Sato in Mongolia and I beat him, and then I lost. I came in second in Newfoundland
Hmm.
in '72
Right.
to an American guy, and he was in South Africa,
Mhm.
and he had a higher nomination than I had. I thought, okay, let's see what happens.
Right.
And I creamed him.
Right. Phenomenal.
I mean it was in that I mean that battle there when I went on and deadlifted. My last deadlift was 185. That was a 5 kilo PB. I never
Mhm.
lifted that much.
Sure.
I had two great coaches, two gals.
Mhm.
They came back to me on the third deadlift. And they said, John, we think you'll win if you lift 180. That was my personal best at the. But we
Mhm.
know you'll win. We know you'll win. We've watched what Dale Garlis is the guy's
Mhm.
name. We've seen his first and second deadlift, and we're certain that if you pull 185, you're going to win. What do you want? And I said, I want 185.
Yep.
So I went out there
Yep.
and I astonished myself and locked out 185. And then my competitor, Dale, he had to go out and deadlift 195 to tie me. He had lower
Mhm.
body weight and he didn't get it off the floor. And that was, that's the kind of story I can tell. My records are all going to get broken in
Yes.
a couple of years. Somebody
Mhm.
younger is going to
Yeah.
come along. Many of these records I set as a 77-year-old. So they're going to get broken when somebody from the M3 moves up. The 74 kilo lifter moves
Mm.
up. They're going to get broken. But the battles that I've had, and with these guys, and the respect I have for them, and the respect that they have back to towards me, that nobody's going to take this away. This is forever.
Phenomenal. I
Yeah,
love that. That's such a wonderful
I love
story.
that part. I
Yeah.
love that part.
Oh, thank you for
And
sharing that.
it doesn't have to be about. I mean, it doesn't have to be about first place. It can be moving up from fifth to sixth. From fifth to fourth, for
Yeah,
example. It's
that's
it's
it.
it's just better than what you had hoped for or expected.
Yeah.
So
I think a wonderful story. And we were in Sweden in 2019 as well. And I was coaching a South African athlete, Simon Bretsky. And Simon, it was his third competition. He had done provincials, won at nationals, and now here he is on the international platform. And we knew there was no way that we were going to win. We were not going to get onto the podium. Last place we would have been happy with, but what we came for was breaking the South African squat record, and he got his squat record. And it was,
yes,
I remember he missed the first one on depth. And I even remember watching Gary saying in the commentary, why is the coach not going and questioning that? Because I knew
yeah,
Simon, like the less I stressed him, the more, and he got it. He got it on his second attempt and he did really well. And, now a few years later, he's breaking Commonwealth, winning at Commonwealth, smashing records, and he's doing incredibly well. But as you said, you don't have to win. You just have, you get what you have gone for. It's something that's really, really special. And that's what's so amazing about the sport. I do want to, unfortunately, we have to push a little bit. We only get an hour
yes.
on
Wow.
Instagram.
Yes.
And then I've got
Okay.
a lovely Canadian I'm chatting to after you. And
Yes.
so what I have to ask you, really a fun question, doesn't have to be too serious, John. What drives you mad about powerlifting? You six
The
competitors,
fact, okay,
six competitors.
I have a good one. I have
Yeah.
one. You can see that I have a headband on.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I wear a headband every single day, and I have 16 different headbands, and they change from so that
Yeah.
they fit with my outfit, and I wear them. And they made a new rule in the IPF. You can either you can wear a headband, but it has only to be black or white.
What? Yep.
And I hate that rule. You can wear all kinds of colors of socks. You can
Yes.
wear two different socks. There's no problem there. But there are some people who make the rules who, for some reason, thought that was a little bit, I don't know, it shows a little bit too much individuality. So that's my
Yeah.
pet peeve.
Okay.
That's what I hate. Yeah,
Well,
that's
but
an easy one.
I look forward to chatting more about that when we're in South Africa.
Yes,
My
yes.
first year, I was still a national referee, but I got to TC at World Bench at Sun City. So you imagine, like, me having to go to Gareth Bentley from Canada and say, you can't wear that.
Yeah, okay. He had a headband.
He had a
Yeah,
big one.
yeah.
It was over the
Oh,
sizing.
okay.
So.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's sometimes it's not so fun for the TCs either. But
I can understand that.
yeah. Who knows what the reasoning behind the rule is? I'm actually going to ask. I'll ask some of the guys what their thoughts are. Maybe it's about advertising or trying to sneak in a sponsor logo or something. But if you love your headbands, I understand that completely.
Yeah. Well, I have a black one that I put on, but
Okay.
just,
Yeah.
it's just I'm not in mourning, so I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
black just doesn't suit my mood.
Yeah, yeah, you are Italian, but you're not. You got Italian blood, but you're not a Italian widow from Sicily. You know?
Exactly.
You need
Exactly.
a bit of the color. Oh, John, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you. I'm actually sorry that we have to cut this short and trim it down. Please, can we chat after Worlds again? And I'll make sure
Yeah,
that
of
we
course.
can have a lot more time as well. I'm looking forward
Okay.
to meeting you in Cape Town in person. It's going to be
Likewise.
absolutely fantastic.
Likewise. Likewise.
I'll show you some of my waistcoats. So they're a little bit on the
Oh,
colorful side. That's
I
my,
love it. Love
you
it.
know, so that at least is
Love it.
under the blazer. So it's great. But
All right.
really, thank you for everything that you shared. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you, and all the best for your trip to Cape Town. One last thing that I just want to finish on as well is to say there's something magical about the air in Cape Town. The air quality is great. I went to school there. We produced some phenomenal sportsmen. So the sense that I get, those special numbers that are waiting to be hit, I think you're going to be hitting in Cape Town. I know you're going to have an absolutely fantastic event, both for classic and equipped.
Yeah.
So
See ya.
it's going to be awesome. John, thank you. Thanks for your time, and we will see you in Cape Town. Take care.
Right.
Thank you guys for watching.
Bye.
We had a great audience as well. Thank you, John. Bye
Bye.
bye. Absolutely fantastic athlete there. Great chatting to John. Stay with us. We're going to be chatting to a young Canadian athlete very shortly, and we'll get that up for you guys. Now we're going to be chatting with Linda Darlene Rousseau, and I'm going to get everything set up for you guys now. So stay with us. Hi, Keelan. See you just joined, and we'll be back in a few minutes with our next guest. Thank you for watching.